Yo, yo, yo! It's your girl Rose Gold, and you are tuned in to another wonderful episode of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. Listen, we have some amazing content for you today. And before we go ahead and get started, just some quick announcements. RoseGoldLenses.com is now offering small business consultations. Okay, if you have a small business that you need service agreements for, maybe you need help with a business plan, maybe you've started a business but you don't know where to go next, or maybe you want to get a website, whatever it is that you need for your small business, be it online or selling physical products in person, Rose Gold Lenses can help you blueprint your business to the next level. For more information on how to get started with booking your small business consultation, be sure to check out rosegoldlenses.com. The link to that website will be in the description. Okay. Next, that same website, rosegoldlenses.com, is offering affiliate marketing. Okay. For those of you who do not know what that is, affiliate marketing is where you are able to place your product, your service on this website, okay, and then generate your revenue with that extra source of advertising. Okay, you keep 100% of your profits that you make off of sales from the website, but there is a monthly fee of $25.99. Okay, that is what you pay to have your product or service marketed on the website. Okay, the website generates right now roughly 2,000 views a day. Okay, and just to get you the kind of the niche that the website is, they offer high quality sunglasses, eyelashes, candles, sea moss gel, things of that nature. So you definitely want to make sure that you, if you have maybe apparel, if you're into fashion, if you have accessories, things of that nature are the things that they accept. If you want to know more information about the affiliate marketing program for your business, visit rosegoldlenses.com. Okay? Heartbreak Hill Podcast is now offering podcast consultations as well as promotional interview. Okay, if you would like to get on the show and you would like your story heard and you would like to promote your brand, your product, your service, Heartbreak Hill Podcast is now booking requests to do so. Okay, head over to our website, heartbreakhillpodcast.com, and shoot us an email if you have questions. But everything is pretty much laid out on the site as far as formatting, cost, things like that. Okay, for the consultations, if you are looking to start a podcast or maybe you already have a podcast, okay, Heartbreak Hill Podcast is here to take your podcast to the next level. Okay, you can book your consultation now with us on our website, heartbreakhillpodcast.com. Let's go ahead and get into our Daily De Niro, which is the segment of Heartbreak Hill Podcast, which is going to offer you mental as well as physical and financial health and wealth. Okay, so today on Daily De Niro, 2 UK researchers have just produced an article. Dr. Petra Hansen and Dr. Thomas Barber have stated that your gut, or in the medical community, they call it your microbiome, is a separate organ of its own. That's right. Up until recently, your digestive tract has been considered just that, just your digestive system or your gut. But now studies are showing that what you eat or place inside your gut can heavily affect your mental, emotional, and physical health. Okay, a link to this article by these 2 UK researchers will be available on both heartbreakhillpodcast.com as well as in the description. Okay, the Trevor Project, the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for young LGBTQ people, have published the results of their 3rd annual survey. Okay, this survey was taken from 35,000 LGBTQ participants who were aged 13 to 24 and lived and resided in the United States. The survey was conducted between October 12th and December 31st. Now I'm going to leave a link to the actual survey results, but here are a few of them that stood out to me. 42% of the youth in that group have seriously considered attempting suicide in the last year. This included more than half of the transgender and non-binary respondents. Okay, 31% of Native and Indigenous survey participants reporting having attempted suicide in the last year. And then finally, 18% of Latina youth and 12% of Asian Pacific Islander youth reported having attempted suicide in that same time period. Okay? If you have LGBTQ family members, friends, make sure you are checking on them and their mental health. This has been a difficult time for everyone, but especially those who have been living in their life and unable to get acceptance from those around them. So just want to be mindful of that, okay? Next, Guy Fieri, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, has a new deal with Food Network that will land him $80 million over a 3-year period, okay? Now, according to Forbes, he is the highest paid chef on cable TV, okay? Now, $80 million is a lot of money, but the network, okay, of his show, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives generates about $230 million in ad revenue. Okay, so shout out to Guy. And for those of you who may be thinking that you cannot make money doing what you love, let that be an inspiration to you. Okay, recently, new sales for homes in April fell about 6%. Okay, every region except for the west side of the country, which was up 8%, has fell about 6%. And the reason for this is that the number of homes for sale are remaining low just due to the fact that lumber is extremely expensive right now and there are a lot of supply chain shortages. Okay, so this backlog of new homes not being available is the least that it's been since 2006. So if you're thinking about investing into the housing market, just keep that in mind. Okay, yesterday a company called Bowery Farming announced a $300 million fundraising campaign. Okay, and this fundraising campaign for Bowery Farming is going to allow them to expand their current practice, which is in-house gardening. Okay, so far they garden indoors. Okay, they grow their food and farm and garden indoors, and they currently sell about 13 varieties of greens at about 850 stores. Okay, this California-based company, with its new funds, will just go ahead and add additional farms for in-house growing or in-house growing, and they will expand their crops, maybe including tomatoes, strawberries, and carrots from the traditional greens that they currently sell now. And lastly, here with Daily De Niro, is that Washington, D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine has just recently filed an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. Okay, the reason for this lawsuit is being stated that Amazon basically had a rule in their policies up until 2019 that would ban sellers, okay, if they sold their items on another site for cheap. So if I'm a seller and I have my products listed on Etsy cheaper than I have them listed on Amazon, Amazon would ban me from being a seller. Okay, now that's illegal to do in the United States. Okay, so when lawmakers started to probe through the processes for Amazon, okay, in 2019, they changed that clause. But what they're doing now, according to Mr. Racine here, Attorney General, is that instead of banning you, what they're doing is they are burying you. So they're no longer banning people from selling if they sell elsewhere cheaper, but they are essentially burying your product so that it does not have a fair chance of being selected by customers. Okay, that too is illegal in the United States. So we'll see what the results of that antitrust lawsuit will be. Amazon now joins Google as well as Facebook, who have all in the past been sued for similar antitrust practices. Okay? Now that we have Daily De Niro out of the way, let's go ahead and get into today's content. And before I get into today's content, I just want to say this disclaimer. People are always hesitant to listen to me when I give parental advice. And the reason for that is because I do not have any biological children. I've never given birth to any biological children, okay? And while I'm the oldest of 6 children, people tend to take that and think that my advice on children or the things that I say about children are not to be true. And if you're one of those people, I encourage you to go ahead and listen to another one of my podcast episodes. Because what I'm offering here when I talk about children is not advice. I cannot give advice on a subject matter that I have no experience with, but I can offer perspective. Everyone that I'm surrounded by has children. Okay, and while I don't have biological children, I was certainly the stepmother to one while I was married. And then consequently, those that I have dated outside of being married had children as well. So my experience, and I love children to a deep level of love. And they love me when I am around them. So again, this is all perspective. Okay, and what my perspective is as me being a child before, but also I have to deal with your adult children when you don't teach them certain things. So the people that irritate you and you say, how can you not know something so simple? Or how can you not understand where I'm coming? Well, a lot of things people were just not taught. Okay, especially those in our minority communities. Okay, we have the crack boom of the 80s. We have the drug laws that have incarcerated so many of our fathers in our communities that prevent certain teachings from happening. And even if you're not a minority, work, school, life stressors can maybe sometimes prevent key lessons in life from being taught. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go over today. I'm going to have a general teaching, which general meaning that these are something that whether they're boys or girls that you should teach your children. And then I have it broken up into two separate segments. Please teach your daughters and please teach your sons. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer podcast today. So if you are doing something, if you thought this is just going to be a quick teaching, I encourage you to find a place to sit down and focus, because some of the things I'm going to say, either you need to hear or somebody you love or know needs to hear. Okay? So to start off, please teach your children. Please teach your children that praying is going to be the shortcut to anything that they want in life. And not just any sort of praying, okay? Because anybody can close their eyes and mumble. But I mean specifically praying to their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, you may not believe in Jesus Christ as you're listening to me. And maybe you may believe that that is a white man's religion, or maybe you are a white man and you just don't believe in Jesus Christ. Whatever the reasoning is, I want you to know that Jesus Christ believes in you. And that if you want your children to have a way of life that is free from multiple calamities, because life will bring trouble of its own. If you've lived this life, especially if you're over the age of, I'll say 15, you've seen calamity. You've seen bad things happen to you even without asking for it. So life will bring sorrow. But the key about praying and about having Jesus Christ as the person you pray to is that things will be revealed to you that you do not have to experience in order to know. So much of the wisdom that we have in this life comes from experience. And that's why a lot of times people don't trust my insight when it comes to children, because they believe I don't have the experience for the wisdom behind children. But Jesus Christ, and praying to him, cuts that timeline of learning. It cuts that learning curve in half. Because when God gives you wisdom about something, it keeps you from having to experience the heartbreak and trauma that may come behind learning the hard lessons. Okay? And just a small side note, Christians do not believe that Jesus Christ is the only portion to get to God. It is the portion to get to God, meaning that there are no other ways. And a lot of times people like to say, though, I don't need a third party in order to get to God. Okay? Christians don't believe in a third party. Jesus Christ is God in the human form. So Christians believe in one God that has three different forms. Okay? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So whenever someone tells you, I don't need a third person in order to talk to God, that's not what Christianity is saying. Okay? I also wanted to put a side note that Jesus Christ hates religion. He hated religion back then and he hates religion now. So for those of you who have experienced Jesus Christ in a religious setting, meaning customs and principles taught by people who don't follow them, or Pharisees as they're called in the Bible, okay, that is not what Jesus Christ stood for. He did not stand for that. So if you don't like religion, you may be closer to Jesus Christ than you thought. So teach your children how to pray every day. Every day of your children's life, up until the day that they die, there will be a meeting. And the meeting will be between the demons of hell and then the angels in heaven. And I'm serious about this, guys. Okay? Don't, this is not spooky or, paranoia speaking here. I'm telling you the truth. Now, I know this truth from reading my Bible. And maybe you haven't got to the point in your life yet where the Bible is an important piece of information, but it should be. But maybe you're not there yet, and that's fine. But every day that you get up and that your children get up, the devil is devising a plan against how he's going to steal, kill, and destroy your child. And prayer invites the angels to protect you from those things. So even when you do go through difficult things in life that you will need to go through in order to shape you as a person, they won't be as bad as they would have been with that prayer of protection. Okay, you are under attack. Your children are under attack, and whether you want to believe in it or not, you need something supernatural to protect you, and that's where prayer comes in. So teach your children to pray. Teach them to pray to the Father. Teach them to pray in the name of Jesus Christ. The other thing I want you to teach your children is that singleness is a choice, and cheating is not fair. Okay? When you are a single human being, and I mean not married on paper, okay? Because even the common law, people say common law, I've been with somebody 10 years. Okay, no, that's not true. Because if you haven't been living with that person for at least 10 years straight, that common law marriage thing goes out of the window. And even if you are common law married, meaning you've lived with that person for the last 10 years straight, and there has to be evidence on it for it to be considered common law. And that's across the United States, by the way. That common law thing still has limitations on it that you won't get, or certain benefits attached to it, certain requirements of valor attached to it that are not considered real unless it's a real actual marriage, okay? And that is on paper with the state. People will tell you that the marriage become real when you have sex. That's not true. If that was to be the case, there would be no such thing as premarital sex, okay? Sex does not make you married, okay? That piece of paper that you file with your state is what makes you married. Period. And I'm saying that because singleness is a choice. And until you sign your paper on that dotted line, you're allowed to date as many people as you want. Women, if you want to take your vagina and throw it in the air and say, whatever man catch it, they can have you, you can do that. It's not wise, because you cause bad things to come into your body spiritually when you have sex with just anybody. But if you wanted to do that, you can do that while you're single. Man, if you wanted to have 10 different women living under the same roof, you can do that while you're single. But here's the caveat. Everybody that you're dating, everybody that you're seeing has to be aware. They don't have to know who, they don't have to know when, they don't have to know what time, because they're not your husband or your wife. You don't owe them that explanation. But as a person of integrity, as a person of human nature, of a real human being, you should be upfront and honest if you are going to be seeing multiple people. Teach your children that. Tell them that, because there's consequences. There's consequences for cheating on people. There's consequences for breaking hearts. See, I didn't know this as a child. I wasn't taught that. Of course, I was taught that people, treat people that the way that you want to be treated. But we live in a culture where people are cheating left and right. And sometimes it's not cheating. Sometimes people, you just think you're in a relationship and you're not. Okay, so I know that there are those instances as well. But for the most part, we live in a culture where people think that because I'm not married to you, I don't have to tell you anything. And that's false. Teach your children to be upfront and honest. They don't have to go into detail. They don't have to go into a PowerPoint presentation about who all they're dating. But if you're dating multiple people at once, especially if you're having sex with multiple people, you are supposed to let the people that you're dating know that. Because that way you give them a choice if they want to deal with it or not. And if when you don't do that, people, you bring back karma onto yourself. And even more so karma, okay? The world calls it karma. The Bible calls it reaping and sowing. Okay? You reap what you sow in this world. So if you're a person, and the thing about reaping and sowing is that you always get more than what you put out. Okay? So if I plant a corn seed, I don't get one stalk of corn. I get a whole entire field, maybe 2, 3, or 5 or something like that, you know. When I plant an apple tree seed, I don't just get one apple back. I get an entire tree full of apples. And that's how it is when you do things to people. So if you are intentionally deceitful in your dating life, if you're sleeping around and you're not being honest with your partner, those types of things come back on you. Okay? And understand that maybe it doesn't faze you, but maybe it'll faze your children. So teach them that. And the last thing I want you to teach your children, this is both for daughters and sons, okay? I want you to teach them sexual discretion. Okay? Sexual discretion. And that is control of their sexual desires. This is both for men and women, because I feel a lot of times we come at the men for their lustful ways, but we never really include women in this conversation. So I want you to teach both your daughters and your sons to control that part of them that wants to be sexual deviants, or to control that part of them that wants to be sexually immoral. And that includes premarital sex. And I'm speaking as a person who has had premarital sex, and actually not that long ago, if I'm being completely honest. So this is not a bash you over the head and you're a bad person. No, I'm just teaching you game. I'm telling you wisdom so that you can prevent certain things. When your children are not taught sexual discretion, they grow up to be lustful, lying human beings that the world has to deal with. A lot of the times when you see men and you hear about them sleeping with girls that are, you know, not their age, or maybe doing things and looking at women, that is all a part of sexual discretion. That is something that has to be taught. Your daughters, you know, we live in a huge feminist society that is teaching our daughters that it's okay for you to be a sexual operator, you know, as much as a man. And you can have your own thoughts of the way that you want, but it'll never be the same. You have an entrance. You have a birth canal as a woman. You don't have a rod. So your sexual discretion is because you have the opportunity to bring birth into this world. So you have to be careful, more so careful than the person that produces the sperm. Teach your children sexual discretion. Teach them to control their desires. Teach them that horniness is not always a symbol of needing to be laid. See, I always thought that whenever you feel hungry, whenever you got that itch that need to be scratched, that means that it's sex that you want. Horniness is also a symbol or a sign of creative ability. What you don't know is that your body enters into these spasms of horniness when you're feeling the most creative. See, it's just that God loves us so much that he made our creative process feel good. It's not the same for all species, you know. So I'm just wanting you to take into consideration when you're teaching your children that sexual discretion is very important. Teach them about sex, know what sex is, but then teach them to control that sexual desire, and to also check in with themselves when lust is something that is overpowering. I know many men who are called rapists and pedophiles, and they look at children and they look at girls who are developed at 13 and 14, and they want to have sex with them, and they're embarrassed to talk about it. And it's a sign that they have not carefully took into consideration controlling their sexual desires. And if you are one of those men or women today that find yourself being attracted to children or maybe teenagers on a sexual level, I encourage you to see someone, not just anyone. You have therapists in every city that specialize in this area. If you do not have medical, get some medical through your county, okay? Send us an email at heartbreakhillpodcast. We'll look up that information for you and send it to you. But get help, because usually there's an underlying lust issue that you did not attack early on. So for the people listening to this, please teach that to your children, okay? Those are the three things I wanted you to teach your children as a whole. Now we're going to go ahead and dive right in based on based on daughter or son. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and start with the daughters. As a daughter, I have a bias, and I want to tell you all to please teach your daughters. Okay? A lot of times children will do what they see, not what you say. So they'll do what they see you do, but they won't do what you say. So when you teach these things, it's just important to make sure that you, to at least some level, are following them. And if you can't follow them, surround your children around people who can. So, for my parents out there who have daughters, please teach your daughters, okay? Firstly, about self-esteem. Very important skill that needs to be taught, okay? This can go for your sons as well. So I'm going to make sure that I include both in this, son and daughter. Teach them about self-esteem. True self-esteem is not validated by anything except your relationship through Jesus Christ. If you can rest in the fact that God made you beautifully and wonderfully, and before you were even a tiny embryo, okay, while they were in your room as the mother, or if you're a father listening to this, before your children were even created and brought into this world, God had a plan for them. And he had that plan for them because he loved them so much and he thought they were so magnificent and wonderful. Teach your children to rest in that fact. Because as they age, the world will constantly be trying to tempt them to get their self-esteem from elsewhere. It's depending on how much you weigh. It depends on how your hair looks, how much money, and it's all false. Because at any moment, those things can be taken away, and then so will your self-esteem. And we all know people who have low self-esteem. They're critical. They're jealous-hearted. They're always telling people how to do things. They're always pointing out the wrongs in people, okay? Teach them about self-esteem. The closer to Christ you are, the more confident you will become. The more you read your Bible and read what it says about you, the more confident you will become. I'm speaking to you as a witness. Okay, I struggled with low self-esteem for many years. Many years I struggled with self-esteem. And then as I got closer to God and I got closer to reading my Bible, I learned a profound thing, how to do things from love, not for love. And that is a self-esteem thing. Okay? Teach your daughters that money does not equal value. So often, women are happy, or they're happy to brag or speak about what a man can spend or what he has done financially. And I want you to know, spoken from a woman who has been financially taken care of by a man on a few different occasions, money does not mean that a man values you. Because he can take that wallet and he can pay your bills and turn around and pay the next woman's bills. If he got it like that. Or maybe he doesn't have it like that and he only has the means to take care of you, but he can still go and sleep with someone else. Don't ever think that because a man takes care of you or provides for you, that means he values you. It's a difference. You will know that a man values you based on what he brings out of you. And furthermore, if he does not have Jesus Christ as his Lord or Savior, he may like you. He may even think he loves you. But without that softened heart, okay, he has no ability to love you and honor you correctly. And I'm going to leave that at that. Teach your daughter that sex without feelings is a sign of a dead spirit. Okay? And I say that because women are built differently than men on a biological, physical level. We are born with a vagina because women are considered to be the incubators of this world. We harness and we hold the things that are given to us. And whenever you get to a place where you are able to give your body intimately, whether you climax or not, but whenever you can get to a place where you can open your canal, your birth canal that gives birth to many nations, whenever you can open that up without feelings attached, there's something in you that has broken. And I'm saying this specifically to the daughters. I'm telling you specifically to teach this to your daughters because men by nature are broken. They can do that. I'm just kidding. They're not broken, but men are naturally built different than women. Okay? They can have sex with a woman and not feel romantic about her. And I'm going to get on the men with that in a second, because even though you can do that without having feeling, I want you to know that you pick up from something from that woman every time you sleep with her and she's not your wife. Okay? You ever wonder why a lot of time men who have a lot of women, they act feminine? Look at some of the pimps from the 70s and the 60s and even down to today. They act feminine. Their appearance means a lot. They focus on their nails, their hair. They have feminine energy. That's what happens when you lay with multiple women. After a certain amount of time, you become like one. Oh, yes. That's wisdom for you. But anyway, back to the point. Okay? Teach your daughters that sex without any sort of romance and you not wanting that, that's a sign of a broken spirit. God did not design you that way. God designed you, okay, to yearn for that intimacy. So when women struggle with loneliness and they write into me, I have to tell them, that's okay, darling. God made you that way. God made you to want to desire a man or want to desire a partner. The problem comes when you begin to do anything for that desire. That's where the issues take place, okay? So when a daughter can have sex without feeling, as a female, there's something broken there. Okay? Teach your daughters to honor being a wife over being a baby mother. Oh, yes, I'm taking it there. And I don't mean this to say that if you are a baby mother that you are no longer valuable, because you are valuable as long as you have blood in your body and breath in your body. God says that you are valuable. And a soul is a soul and is precious to God. Oh, yes, that's true. But you want to value being a wife, because a lot of times men will make you a baby mother without any intentions on being committed to you. And when you have a man in your life that wants rights and access to you, but doesn't want to commit to you, it causes you to be mentally ill. Did you know that? Did you know that women who are cheated on a consistent basis, even if it's just one time by a man that they love, that they experience the same sort of psychological trauma that people who have been to war or Iraq or Afghanistan, PTSD, they experience those same symptoms. So when you have a person around you and they don't want to take that commitment all the way, okay, and that's give you their last name and take full ownership and responsibility, because when they make you a baby mother, they just want responsibility and ownership of your body. But when you require that they give you their last name, and I say require because some men you're going to meet and they're going to say, I don't want to be married. I just want a family, and then that's when you stand up and you put your shoulders back and you be woman enough to say, you're not for me. Okay? But honor being a wife over being a baby mother. Make him. And I don't mean make like force. I mean make like require. Make him give you that last name and be in that family dynamic, because a baby father is way different than a husband. See, a lot of our men, especially in the minority communities, they say that minority women don't listen. It's not that we don't listen. It's just that you want rights and responsibility over me that you have not paid for yet. And how you pay for those rights and responsibility? You want me to listen to you unconditionally? Then someone needs to come up with a ring and someone needs to make me their wife. Ladies, don't let a man come to you and say, I'm the man, I'm the head, you listen to me. Not if you're not my husband. Hello? If you're not my husband, I respect you as a man. And ladies, hear me out when you're talking to your daughters about this, because respecting a man is more important than even loving him. Okay? Ask any man in his right state of mind and he'll tell you, oh, I'd rather a woman to respect me than to love me. Oh, yeah, any day. So respect will always outbear love to a man. But what I'm telling you is that when it comes to what you have to bring to a table, you don't give that full ownership and respect, and I do whatever you say and I'm gonna ride and die for you. Not if he's not your husband. Make him pay that price. Nothing to do with the ring. Doesn't have to be a big wedding. You're married. Once you have that name on that paper and you have a witness to sign with you, that is the requirement there. Okay? Make that what you require before you have a baby by a man. And if you already have a baby by a man, teach your daughters that it's never too late to change your requirements. It's never too late to ask for more than what you're being given. And then teach them to be prepared to leave if that's not what they're giving. Not an ultimatum, not a threat. Okay? But if you know that someone is unwillingly or incapable of giving you what you need, in order to live a successful life and in order to thrive in a family dynamic. Teach your daughters to be okay with that and to say, chuck up the deuces if need be. Okay? Now, teach your daughters, competition does not exist. Okay? When I see women that are jealous and envious of other women, no matter how much they try to hide it, okay, it comes out eventually, especially when you've been friends with a girl for a long time. It'll come out. I know right away that they did not have mothers or fathers or any figures in their life to teach them. Okay? They didn't have anyone to teach them about self-esteem because they're instantly intimidated by someone who's attractive. They didn't have anyone to teach them that competition does not exist because the minute they're around somebody who they feel is above them on any level, okay, they try to tear that person down or they try to outshine that person. Okay? Teach your daughters not to be competitive. Teach them that what is for you will always be for you. And you don't have to compete. You don't have to tear others down. You don't have to work on outshining anyone. Because what's for you will always be for you. Period. End of discussion. Okay? Teach your daughters that I'm not letting him go is idolatry. And that there's a punishment for worshiping idols. And here's what I mean by that. Teach your daughters that having the mentality, I'm not coming up off him, I'm not letting him go, is the same as worshiping an idol. Because essentially what you're saying to yourself, what you're saying to God, and what you're saying to that man is that no matter what, I will not leave you. And that is wrong. I don't care what you hear in church. I don't care what you hear on magazines. Now, if you want me to be specific about that, what I mean is that I'm not letting him go comes out of the mouth of women who have a man in their life that cheat on them, maybe beat them, betray them in multiple ways. And they say, no matter what, I don't care what female he has, I'm not going to let him go. Don't do that. Don't teach your daughters not to be like that. Because what happens when you have that type of mentality about a man, okay, I'll tell you what happens. Either he leaves you, okay, or God takes him away from you. Because we serve a jealous God. And even if you don't serve God, he still is jealous for your love. Even if you don't believe in Christ, he's still jealous for your love. So that means that when you have a man and you let him do whatever he wants to do to you, okay, and you say, I'm not letting him go no matter what because the sex is good or maybe he takes care of me financially, you're worshiping him. You're idolizing him. And God does not teach that. There should be a limit on your love, even if you're married. For so many years, I was convinced that because I was married, adultery is okay. When you have a spouse, I'm not talking about if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, because a lot of the consequences that we face in heartbreak and trauma when we're not married is from premarital sex. There is a demon that you invite into your dating life when you have premarital sex, guys. I'm serious. But specifically for my married folk, real quick. If you are married to somebody who's continuously committing adultery, don't say that God is telling you to stay there. You have a God in your life who wants you to be at peace with all people as long as you're able. And if you cannot be in peace, or if that person is not bringing you peace, the Bible instructs you to dust off your boots and go. When Jesus Christ went to places that rejected him, he didn't stay there and say, I'm going to love you harder and I'm going to preach to you harder until you get it. He dusted off his boots and he left. And when you have a partner that is continuously adulterous, okay, God is not calling you to stay there. I have people that write me and they say, I got into another fight with my husband's mistress. You're no longer in a marriage, ma'am. You're in a trap. God is not telling you to stay there. And that brings me to my next point. Okay? My next point is teach your daughters to not use the phrase, I'm staying for my children. That is a horrible phrase. And it is a phrase that the devil has used to trick the minds of mothers to stay in situations and think that they're helping their children. I told you earlier that children don't do what you say. They do what they see. So if you're telling me that you're staying in an abusive relationship or staying in a relationship with a man that continuously makes you mentally ill because he cheats on you all the time, and you say that you're helping your children, I want you to know that that is the devil telling you that. And that if you're in that sort of situation, the best thing that you can do for your children is separate. That is the best thing. Teach your daughters not to use that, because what that is an excuse. Oh, yes, mothers. Oh, yes, fathers. If you're saying that I'm staying for my kids, that is an excuse. Because what you're really saying is that I'm staying for the family dynamic of a mother-father relationship, and I want my kids to see that it's possible to have a mother and father. They already know that that's possible. Okay? The internet and school and outside influences, they show them in movies. Okay, and Netflix and Hulu and all those places, they show them picture perfect couples all the time. Okay? So don't use that as an excuse. Teach your daughters not to use that as an excuse. Okay? Staying for my children is like saying, I'm going to stay racist because my parents were racist, or I'm going to stay racist because I want to make sure that my family stays pure. It's a stupid logic. Please stop saying that. Please stop staying in abusive or heartbreaking situations and say that you're doing it because for your children, because they're better off with you in a place of peace and constant receiving of God's blessing than they are in a traumatic, abusive, or continuously cheating situation. And by the way, continuous cheating is a form of abuse, okay? Teach your daughters to stay away from married men. A lot of our society will tell you that they were separated, so it's okay for me to be with him, or they're only married on paper, they're not physically together. Let me tell you something, people, because nobody is going to tell you this. So I want you to make sure you tell your daughters this. When you sleep with a married man or a married woman, and when I say married, I mean on a certificate of marriage. They went down to the courthouse and they've had it recognized by the state. That's what makes it real, okay? When you sleep with someone like that and they're still under that contract of marriage, there is a curse that you put on your dating life. Do you understand that? Ladies and gentlemen, I speak with people who write to me, okay? And they tell me the calamities that follow them in their life. And even further, even way before I had the show is not that long going. Even before I started the show, I seen with my own eyes the detriment that comes with sleeping with a married man. Because even if you get that married person to be with you, that insecurity will always be there. When you have a man or you have a woman that you really like, daughters, teach your daughters that you have somebody that you really, really like, and you want to marry and you want to get into cahoots with them, or maybe you don't want to marry, but you want to date them and see what they... Wait. If it's for you, it'll always be for you. Wait until that divorce certificate is final. Not filed it, okay? Because if you're dating while you're still in the process of being divorced, you're still bringing this curse into your life. I know what I'm talking about. I was divorced. I filed for divorce, and there was a 6-month period before it was final. And I called myself dating in that 6-month period. I said, well, me and my husband at the time, we're not living together. Me and my ex-husband, by the time I filed for divorce, we had been living separately for about 8 months. And, we had not been having sex and everything. And so I thought because I filed the paperwork that I was free to date. Oh, no. Absolutely, positively not. Worst mistake. One of the worst mistakes I ever made dating-wise was dating while I was still married on paper. Because nothing can grow. Any relationship that you enter while you're still married on paper will need extensive counseling to fix. Because God can't bless mess. And it's messy to date while you're still legally and spiritually bound to someone else. Teach your daughters not to do that. And if you are doing that right now, I want you to stop it. If that person loves you and you love that person, wait until the divorce is final. Let it be a reset in the relationship. You can make it a fun thing. Let's start over from the beginning and let's wait. If it takes 3 months, I will date you for 3 months. If it takes 3 years, I will be your friend for 3 years. Not date you for 3 months, but be your friend for 3 years until it's final. But don't engage in sex. Don't date them. Don't post them on Instagram and Facebook. Don't do that yet. Let that divorce be final and let it be real so that the love can be organic and not forced. Because there's a reason why when you file divorce, there's a waiting period in any state. Okay? That waiting period is for your healing. Divorce is a traumatic experience, you know. The Bible says that it's close to death. And if you've ever been divorced like I have, oh man, it's death, all right. It's if you've ever not been married, I want to try to compare it for you. It would be like take your worst breakup. Okay, because I thought I knew heartbreak. I thought that I had my heart broken before. I want you to take your worst heartbreak and I want you to intensify it by 10. That's what a divorce is like. And so that waiting period, okay, that comes after you file paperwork and the divorce being final, that gap in time should be taken to heal. Trust me. This is somebody speaking from somebody. I have experience in that. I'm telling you. Just wait. Okay? I want you to know that I want you to teach your daughters that love or lust, okay, they cannot be pursued at the same time. Nobody will tell you this. And I know that we have strippers in the world that get a bad rep. And a lot of times, nobody is saying that strippers cannot find happiness or love. But I want to tell you, first of all, that if you're dealing with a man who allows you to show your body, or if you're a porn star and you're dealing with a man or a prostitute and you're dealing with a man that tells you he loves you and he's allowing you to do those things, he does not love you. He probably cares about you deeply. But there's no way. The real definition of love and what love entails, it won't allow a man to love you and let you show your body to strangers or let you have sex with strangers. It just won't. Okay, so that's that on that. Write into me and I can tell you more about that, or maybe I'll have an episode that comes in about that. But the reason why I brought up strippers is because when you are stripping, you are selling lust. Okay, and this is the same, and stripping isn't always on the pole. Okay, this is stripping. Maybe you're on your Instagram stripping. You're barely wearing clothes, or maybe you're showing pictures in your bra and panties, or whatever you're doing, daughters. But teach your daughters that when you are selling lust, it is not wise for you to be looking for love at the same time. Don't do that. Don't be a stripper and then hoping that you have the magic trick that'll come in there and whisk you and love you and take you out the strip club. Don't do that. Don't be a prostitute and then just think that you're going to have this magical trick, or that whatever trick comes along and says that they love you, that is real. Don't think like that, because love and lust, okay, while they may be partners in the same realm, and it's definitely possible to be lustful over somebody you love, and it's possible to love someone you lust over. That's possible, but you cannot pursue them both at the same time. When I'm walking in lust, I cannot walk in love. It doesn't make sense. And so the reason why I'm telling you to teach your daughters this is because when they're selling lust, what the devil will do is he will bring reinforcements to think that bring reinforcements into your daughter's lives to make them think that they have fallen in love. So you just want them to be on defense and know that when I'm selling lust, I'm not looking for love. And that if love comes to me while I'm selling lust, it's not real. Real organic love will come when you're done with that lifestyle of selling lust. And whether that's posting pictures on your IG, I'm guilty of it too, whatever. When you're done with selling lust, only then should you be in the realm of love. Okay? Teach your daughters that the devil will come after her through words, usually words of flattery. Please teach your daughters this. Because if we go back even into history, okay, Eve was deceived through conversation. And conversation rules the nation. Trust me when I tell you. So teach your daughters to listen twice to everything that they hear a person say. Because that's how the devil will get to her mind. That's how the devil will get to her thoughts. It's through talking. Okay? Teach your daughters that sex won't make him yours and a baby won't make him stay. It's just really and truly that simple. Okay? Teach your daughters that second place has no prize. Side chick mothers usually breed side chick daughters. So if you are a side chick mother or a side chick father listening to this, I need you to be intentional in teaching your daughters that second place has no prize. And that the minute you agree to share physical intimacy, time, money, or anything like that with someone else, you've devalued yourself at another level. Now, a lot of times when women claim the side chick role, or they're okay with being the side chick, it's usually because they don't want anything more from the man in the beginning. They don't want anything more than that time or that physical intimacy. But you're still selling yourself short, and you're still bringing calamity onto your mind and body. Because eventually what will happen is you will want more. And if you don't want more, you'll just eventually move on to someone else. Don't do that. Teach your daughters that second place gets no prize. Lastly, I want you to teach, or not lastly, I have 2 more points for your daughters. I want you to teach your daughters that sex does not mean you're in a relationship. Please understand that. Because it can be easier after you get really good penis to think we go together now. And then that's why we have a lot of women who think that they're being cheated on. No, you weren't being cheated on. You were never in a relationship, sweet girl. No one was ever committed to you. But since you gave up that box, you gave up the family jewels, you thought that. Especially if it was real good. I've been there. Oh, yes. You have sex with somebody and they do it to you so good. And you say, oh, yeah, we go together. No. So teach your daughters that. Teach your daughters that sex does not make him yours. A baby won't make him stay. But also teach them that sex doesn't mean that you're in a relationship. Okay? That's all I got for teaching your daughters. Let's go ahead to the sons. The sunshines of the world. Please teach your sons that they must always work. Period, point blank, end of discussion. And I mean honest work. See, a lot of our sons have been discouraged from working because maybe they have felony backgrounds, or maybe they don't want to work for the white man or a racial system. But I want to tell you right now that if you are a felon and you can't get a job, I want you to know that you gave up your right to get a job the moment you decided to sell drugs or gang bang or do anything it is that requires you to be registered as a felon now, okay? You gave up that right, okay? There's a movie, and I don't remember the name of the movie, but there's a movie about this little girl, and she's going around and she's selling drugs, and she's, acting grown. And Jamie Foxx is put on her case to kind of trail her and get some information out of her. And when he catches, he has to catch her because she's kind of a slick little girl. She's on the run. And then Jamie Foxx has to catch her. And he gets her in the car and he sits her down and he says, well, tell me what you know. I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to beat your mom up. I'm going to do all. And the little girl says, she's about maybe 15 or 16. She said, but I'm just a kid. You can't do that to me. I'm just a kid. And Jamie Foxx says a very profound piece of wisdom. He said, no. You're not a kid anymore. You sell drugs. You beat the streets. You do all of these things. And you may think that you have to do it, but I want you to know you gave up your right to be a kid the moment you started doing all of these adult things. It's the same when it comes to getting a job, young man. Teach your sons that if you ever are put in a position where you cannot get a job that you desire, then you must create your own. And that is the foundation for every man, and that is owning your own business. But you must always work. You must always toil the mill. Always. If you do not work, you are not a man. And it is just that simple. Men don't feel like men if they're not providing. Maybe you don't have a lot. And I'm not telling you that you should not be valued of a man if you're in a position where you cannot provide, because that's true. But you must always work. Figure out a way from wherever you are, whatever physical, mental disabilities are making you not work, find a way. But a man must always work. Okay? Teach your sons that money don't make you real. Please teach them that. You get on Facebook and Instagram and you see in Twitter and you see these little boys and they posting up and they automatically think that because you have money that means that you're real. They think that the people around them, if he or she has money, that makes them real. Please tell them that money don't make you real. Please teach your sons that. Okay? Teach your sons that every tear that you cause, you pay for. And what I mean by that is just the same principle of reaping and sowing. Because, see, a lot of times men that cause women a lot of heartbreak, or maybe it's not just women, maybe it's people around you that you bring sorrow onto, it will follow you, and it will follow your children if it doesn't catch up to you. Okay? Tell your sons that hitting a woman is a feminine trait. And that I want you to denormalize violence. I don't want you to tell your sons that they cannot protect themselves. But if a man is dealing with a female that is violent, you tell your son to leave that situation. It is stupid of you to teach your sons to hit back a woman, because whatever state that he's in, whatever city he's in, if he lives in the United States, okay, they're going to consider him the aggressor. even if she hit him first. So don't set your sons up for failure by saying, if don't hit a woman, but if a woman hits you, you hit them back. You teach your sons to walk away, and I mean physically leave their location if there is a woman that is putting their hands on you, putting their hands on him. Now, you can restrain a woman, but even that, I say, no, don't touch her. Just leave. Because as a man, you are the leader. And even the laws recognize you as the leader. So when you hit a woman back, automatically you will be in the wrong. Women, especially black women, stop telling your sons to hit her back if she hits you. Instead, teach your son, if you need to beat her, you don't need her. Teach your sons that, please and thanks. Okay? Teach your son that he becomes one with whoever he sleeps with. Very important to teach your sons that. Because we have boys that are over this world, and they don't believe that who they sleep with matters. They think that because they have a penis and not a vagina, that nothing happens. And this is what I was touching on earlier when I said that sometimes you have a man, and when over a period of time when men deal with a lot of different women, especially when he's dealing with them all at once, they become feminine. They start acting feminine or dressing, or maybe they cater to their appearance like a female. That is because he is constantly becoming one and collecting the souls of the women that he sleeps with. And if you've ever seen Mortal Kombat, okay, if you ever played that game, you'll see that the main man, when there's a character on there that collects souls, and because he collects souls, he turns into the people whose souls he collects. Oh yeah, that's true. He turns into the people whose souls he collects. Okay? That is a true thing. That is a real thing. Understand me, please. Tell him if you don't really want to be with her, or if you have not thought in your mind about a long-term relationship, don't be with her. Don't be with her. Don't be with her sexually is what I'm saying. Okay? I want you to teach your sons that you should not think about marrying or being in a long-term relationship with any woman until you have discovered your God-given purpose. Every man that is under the sound of my voice, and if you are a mother or father and you have a son, I'm telling you, there is a divine purpose inside of that man, inside of your son, and you need to teach him to be one with his maker. Because if he's not one with his maker, he can't be one with anybody. If he's not one with what his purpose is on this earth, and everybody has a purpose. As long as you can hear me and you're breathing, you have purpose here on this earth. And what we do is we pursue relationships before we pursue purpose. And we wonder why they crumble. And the son should be taught this because he will be distracted the most by the woman. Not any woman. There are certain women that the devil will send to you, because I don't want you teaching your sons that, oh, women are distraction. No, they're not. The right woman will take your focus and magnify it 100-fold and bring you to the level of your life that you never thought that you can get to. Every successful man, even if he's divorced now, when he was successful, there was a woman behind him. Even if it wasn't a wife, there was a sister, cousin, auntie, mother, somebody. Because women have what we call insight, and we pay attention to particulars that men don't have. So you need a good woman in your life, even if she's just a friend. But be secure and sure of your purpose first before you try to pursue a romantic relationship or a marriage, okay? Because if you don't, you will only destroy the people that you come in contact with, okay? The devil, teach your sons that the devil will use women, and he will use your ego, the son's ego, to be to his destruction. He will surround the son by people who make him feel good. He will surround the son with women that make him feel good in order to destroy him. He will give the son drugs, and he will give the son guns to make him feel good. And I need you to teach your sons about these things. If you're a mother and you're listening to this, because the month of May is the celebratory of the mothers, you maybe cannot teach him how to be a man. God will give you grace in that area. But the things that I just talked about, you can teach him that free of charge. And you do not have to be a man to teach your son the principles that I've just taught. For the daughter section, if you are a male and you're listening to me, you don't have to be a woman. You can't teach her how to be a woman, but you can teach the things that I've just taught. And if you're a mother under the sound of my voice, you are the teacher. Maybe the father ran out. Maybe you don't have the support, but you are the teacher of your children, and you can certainly teach them everything that I just went over. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're under the sound of my voice, I want to say thank you for joining us here today at Heartbreak Hill Podcast. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. We have new emails if you want to be on the show, if you have suggestions, if you have questions, if maybe you want your question read on air to a worldwide audience like we have here at Heartbreak Hill Podcast, shoot us an email, hbhp@heartbreakhillpodcast.com. Okay? Follow us on all social media platforms. Don't forget to join our private Facebook group, which is called Heartbreakers. Really good content in there. Instagram, Twitter, including Facebook. Okay? Follow us, Heartbreak Hill Podcast. And remember, all love, no judgment. You guys stay up.